Ryan Seacrest here. When you have a busy schedule, it's important to maximize your downtime. One of the best ways to do that is by going to ChumbaCasino.com. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino games like spin slots, bingo, and solitaire that you can play for free for a chance to redeem some serious prizes. So hop on to ChumbaCasino.com now and live the Chumba life. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
The Coasters and Kickz, the only podcast where theme park thrills meet sneakerhead chills. Here, we'll be taking you from the front of the drop tower to the front of the sneaker line, all in one ride. Every week, we're talking drops, loops, heat on feet, and theme park seats. Whether you're gearing up for a day at the parks or camping out for the latest shoe release, this is your fast pass to culture, kicks, and coasters. So buckle in, lace up, and let's ride. Now for your host, Desmond.
Welcome back to the Coasters Kickz podcast, family. Of course, and for the first time in forever, we actually have my best friend Zach with us, going by the Tribal Chief. How you doing today, bro?
I got to get ready for SummerSlam. We got to go ahead and respect Roman Reigns, but I'm doing good.
Oh man! I already knew that's where we were going the second I saw your name today. But of course, I do want to just give you guys a heads up that, of course, on today's episode of Coasters and Kickz, as always, the views and opinions of the host and my guests are those of the host and not of any company or persons that may or may not be affiliated with, and occasionally adult language may be used throughout our episodes. Today, we're actually going to be diving into one of the most exciting things actually happening in Orlando theme park history with Universal's Epic Universe. So let's talk about what's coming, what we know, what we're hyped for, and what this means for the future of theme parks in Orlando or Florida for that matter. All right, so let's go ahead and start off with what actually is Epic Universe, just in case you actually haven't heard about the news, which I'm pretty positive you already have. But of course, Epic Universe is Universal's new theme park that's actually out in Orlando, Florida, opened on officially grand opening May 22nd of 2025 this year, as their third theme park and their fourth park overall to open at Universal Orlando, with apparently that third one being their water park. So obviously it is basically Universal's bold move to kind of rival Disney with the next generation park, especially with everything they actually have at the park, which actually leads me to our next thing here, a little bit about the parks themselves and what's actually in the park. Zach, you actually had the ability to actually get down to the park during previews before it was actually officially open. Why don't you just let us know a little bit about what's at the park, what you experienced, and what you like about the park?
Yeah, so I was able to go out there, I want to say middle of May, about a week and a half or so before the grand opening. It wasn't too busy when I was there, so it was perfect. I think the longest rides that were there during the preview, again, probably Mario Kart was averaging over an hour, which I'll get into that in a second. Oh, wow. And then the same thing with Donkey Kong. And unfortunately, during my visit, there was two rides that were not down, so I can't that were down all day, so I can't really speak on them in the terms of what I got to see, which was everyone's most anticipated, depending on if you're a Harry Potter fan, Battle for the Ministry or at the Ministry. And then the other one is the Wolfman roller coaster. But first thoughts were the park's beautiful. Plain and simple. The park is beautiful. Universal spared no expense on the theming, the immersive environment, and just walking into the gates and then walking up and seeing that massive portal, the keyhole, or that I think they're calling it the keyhole. But when you're walking into it, it sets the tone. And there's one thing that I don't think gets enough credit when you walk in there is that gorgeous statue that they have that overlooks the lagoons, and then you can look directly across at the Helios Hotel. And it's the first time I've ever seen a statue like that, a figure in a park, and it really is well placed, and it looks fantastic, and it's going to be a number one picture spot for a long time. Oh, yeah. Because not only do you have a statue, but you have that amazing hotel in the background. Now, when I went in there, the first thing I did is I turned left and headed straight to Dark Universe. I don't even know where to begin, but the land is probably one of the greatest lands I've ever been in. because the moment you walk through the portal, you just are fully immersed. It feels a lot more decrepit. It feels like something's not right. This is not what it's supposed to be, if that makes sense. Yeah. Now, the characters were not walking out and around because the park had just opened, so they weren't out yet. But later in the day, I went back, and Igor, who is a main character in Monsters Unchained, was out there. And then there was somebody playing violins out on a balcony. That was pretty cool, too. But when you walk in, the architecture looks fantastic. The theming is great. And then the more and more you get further along, that's when you get to the big one, Monsters Unchained. And before I say anything about this ride, I will gladly go ahead and state this is my all-time number one attraction right now. That is not a roller coaster.
Wow. Wait a minute. Okay. So, but this is all of Orlando? What do we talk? All of Orlando? All of Florida?
The entire United States.
Wow. Okay. So Monsters Unchained, if we were putting that in like a tier list, we would say that would be S tier then.
Oh, 100%.
Would you say that's the only attraction in S tier for you then? That's not roller coaster based?
That ride, if it is not in that tier, it's absolutely disrespectful to Universal Creative, the Universal Monsters lineage, the ride, and everything else that's involved in that attraction.
Wow.
And this is coming from having been to Disneyland, Knott's Berry Farm, Cedar Point, Dollywood. Nothing even comes close to this. The only thing that somewhat should be into the argument is Rise of the Resistance. I'm going to pass up Rise of the Resistance and keep going straight to Monsters.
Okay. A little controversial, but I feel like I can accept it only because I haven't had the luxury of experiencing it just yet. Waiting for the parks myself to kind of die down and actually go ahead and take a flight in once again to be able to experience it honestly. But hey, I respect it. So with that being said, of course, and that's with Dark Universe over with Universal Monsters, of course. So in terms of if that's S tier, what would you say is your next tier? What is your next tier location in that park? What's the next land that you would put as second best then?
Well, before I go into that, I do want to say, as a redeeming quality for Universal, for the longest time, for the last 25 years, only thing that Universal has gotten flack on is all they know is screens. All they know is CGI. Right. That's it. They are a screen park. They're a CGI park. There's going to be a lot of people eating crow after getting off Monsters Unchained. Because there is screens, yes, but they are needed to tell the story and transition from scene to scene.
Right.
There is way more animatronics on that ride than any other ride in that park. The only thing that might have as many animatronics as that is one of the classic Disney World attractions from yesteryears. Maybe like Horizons or something else that's been removed. There's more animatronics on this than Rise of the Resistance by a long shot.
That's crazy.
And when you see that 10-foot tall...
Are we talking on the ride itself?
Oh, yeah.
Throughout the queue as well?
The queue, there's really not much in the queue because it doesn't need it. You're going through the mansion and you're seeing the manor and all the work is underground. So you're not in the bowels of the manor yet. So you're just going through the manor. You're going through I don't want to ruin the theming, but it doesn't need it. But the way that it tells the story is just beautifully done. Now, I'd say the next land, this is going to be controversial because everyone's going to expect me to say Nintendo. I want to pre-reference that. I am not a massive Nintendo fan. I respect what it's done for video games. I respect what it's done from a branding standpoint, and especially giving us Zelda, Pokemon. There's a lot that Nintendo has done.
Right.
I mean, don't get me wrong, it's beautiful, but same thing with Harry Potter. I'm not a massive Harry Potter fan. I mean, it looks like you're in Paris, but the one that was a sleeper for me, and I've never even seen the movie, and I thought it was great, was How to Train Your Dragon, the Isle of Berk.
Wow.
I know it's a hot take.
That was your second. That's your second best. That's your second best land in the park.
I don't know if I even see second best because I mean, like I said, I'm not a massive Nintendo fan. I'm not a massive Harry Potter fan. I've never seen How to Train Your Dragon, but when I walked in, I was absolutely blown away with the land and the aspect that It's very, very well done.
Right.
It literally feels like you're in a Viking land. The way that they have that little lagoon in the middle of the land, and they had the roller coaster blasting through it. It's like a great hot spot to take photos.
Right.
The rides were good. You could overlook the water attraction that's below.
Mm-hmm.
You're walking around, there's dragons in there that you can take photos with or watch do their thing.
Right.
They got characters walking around that you can go ahead and interact with that are absolutely hilarious. There's shows, there's a giant restaurant. I mean, they really, for a land that's supposed to be, well, the land is supposed to be geared towards kids, and I absolutely loved it. And that
Step into the world of power, loyalty, and luck.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
With family, cannolis, and spins mean everything.
Now, you wanna get mixed up in the family business.
Introducing The Godfather at ChumbaCasino.com. Test your luck in the shadowy world of The Godfather slot.
Someday, I will call upon you to do a service for me.
Play The Godfather now at ChumbaCasino.com.
Welcome to the family.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
roller coaster was an absolute sleeper. That ride was fun.
Oh yeah.
And again, hot take, I would take that over Slinky Dog Dash.
Oh no, and me personally, based on the videos that I've seen, based on what people are saying, and including you, you're practically like my main park source as of right now. You're practically my main park source. So for you to actually say that you take that over Slinky Dog, I have no doubt about it. I mean, based on the theming of it, right? The theming of the actual attraction itself, how immersive it is in terms of actually getting stuck for a moment, rolling backwards, and now you're in this aisle where you still got a couple of dragons actually hatching, and you need to get out of there ASAP. It does give me a Slinky Dog Dash-esque look to it a little bit in terms of like the rollback and basically launching out of there. But honestly, based on the way it again loops throughout the entire land, it honestly, I put it above. I will put it above Slinky Dog, and I haven't even had the chance to ride it yet.
And Slinky Dog does the same thing to an extent. I mean, it goes throughout the land, but my issue with Slinky Dog is there's no oomph to it. There's no kick to it. When you hit that launch, you're practically crawling over the hills. There's no air time on those little bunny hills. There's just it's way too. Honestly, I think more kids are going to have more fun on this one. And the reason being is, don't get me wrong, it's an attraction that they're going to love because of the theming, yes. But when you start getting into the nook and cranny and what's deep in it, how many kids are going to love this impactful launch, the smooth ride, the turns? There's a lot more to it than just the theming. The ride is very well done. And then, ironically, the hot take for me is I was not a fan of the Donkey Kong ride.
Honestly, based on videos I've seen of Donkey Kong, and again, this is purely based on what I've seen, not from being able to experience it myself, but also from hearing others. Also, Donkey Kong, it's nice to look at, but realistically speaking, I've heard the same thing. You're not the first person to tell me that, honestly. So I don't jerky. Doubt it. So that's the first time I've heard that it's actually jerky. But
the transitions, the turns, they're
pretty rough.
I'm trying to be nice because I love Universal, but it was pretty rough. And the only other attractions that I'm going to complain about, and again, this is a hot take, a lot of people are going to disagree with me, Mario.
No, and I can speak to that ride personally, because again, it's nothing but Mario Kart is nothing but a copy paste of what they put in Universal Studios Hollywood and what they actually built over Universal Studios Japan. So it's for me personally, again, when it comes to Mario Kart, the one thing I love about it, how immersive it is throughout the entire queue. It's beautiful, right? Even walking up to actually getting inside of Bowser's Castle, it's really immersive. The pre-show room, up until you actually grab your actual Mario hat with your glasses and everything. But my one issue I have with it is it feels as if they went the route with, they wanted it to be immersive, and I love that. I appreciate that. But I feel like they went the route that they did with Fast and Furious Supercharged over at Universal Studios Orlando, with it being like a like fully screened. And don't get me wrong, obviously we want it to be screened. Nothing wrong with that. But one of my huge gripes is it's slow. The screens show as if you're moving extremely fast, but you just don't get that feeling. And it feels like a combination of Fast and Furious Supercharged, but also a mixture of Men in Black, where obviously you hit a target, and then or if someone else hits your target on Men in Black, the ride car itself spins. It felt the same way. It was just too slow for me. It didn't feel like Mario Kart. It just looked like it a little bit in terms of the actual projections that they actually have and the actual the ride queue itself. For me,
that part I was fine with. My issue with it was the visor, the audio, not the audio animatronic. I don't know why I'm saying that. The AI. I don't even know the word I want to call it. You're sitting there and you're having to sit there and play. And that was my issue, which, I mean, I had to try it like that. If the line was shorter, I probably rode a road again without the visor, because I've had multiple good friends of mine that have said the ride is much better without the visor, because then you're able to go ahead and look at these gorgeous sets, which the sets are fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
But I can also see where everybody wanted to race. I get that. It's not physically possible. And from a legal standpoint, it is an absolute legal nightmare for Universal to sit there and try to get real go-karts in there and have people beating and banging around the track. That's the same reason that Fun Spot won't let you beat and bang around the track. Now, there is different attractions. I know Dynamic Attractions, shout out to them. They were working with different rides where they had the center rail as if you would expect on, say, a ride like Dinosaur, soon to be rest in peace, and Indiana Jones, where the car is going on the track, but then they're actually experimenting where the track isn't concrete like the other two, but actually LED screens. So you can make it, I mean, now you got the rainbow track perfectly.
Right, exactly.
And that was something that they have been working on very closely. So that's what a lot of us thought back in the initial stages at IAAPA that this was going to do. And then when we saw it come out in Japan, it was not the same. And the other attraction I did not do there was Yoshi's. And that's just, I didn't have the patience or the time to do it. Now, otherwise, on a hot day, it's perfect. Just sit there with the family, go ahead and people watch, enjoy the land. I mean, that's the same reason I ride the People Mover.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's what it felt like to me when looking at concept art and even looking at early videos when they were actually testing it before it actually officially opened and before previews. It felt like People Mover, a little bit less shade. But definitely felt like People Mover in terms of how slow it was. More geared towards the kids, especially considering, the entire land itself in itself is interactive. So, it definitely felt like something to give the kids something to ride and look around at, especially considering they have all the different, different characters that you would see inside of Mario Kart, throughout Mario Kart when you're racing and things like that, with the cactuses and cacti and things like that, constantly moving around. Something that the kids definitely will continue to look around for, look at different little hints that me personally I loved about Super Nintendo World over at Universal Studios Hollywood, myself personally. But yeah, the land itself is beautiful. I look forward to actually being able to experience the Donkey Kong Country aspect of Super Nintendo World over at Epic Universe. So I definitely look forward to that. But it's just kind of a copy and paste of what I've had the ability to experience at Universal Studios Hollywood, obviously, and a lot larger, because Super Nintendo World and Universal Studios Hollywood is definitely a lot smaller.
Well, and that's going to be the name of the game for anything Universal Studios Hollywood. Is just somebody said it best to me years ago. You have Universal Studios Florida, or Universal Orlando Resort rather, but I guess we could more talk about studios because Island's a different ballgame. It is a theme park that just so happens to be a movie studio, whereas Universal Studios Hollywood is a movie studio that just so happens to have a theme park in it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
And that's what everybody forgets, which, kudos to Universal Studios Hollywood for the massive upgrades they've done over the years with, continuing to make the backlot tour just as good as it is. The tram tour is fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
But then going ahead and removing classics such as Backdraft and other attractions to go ahead and make way. I mean, one of the big things for them, getting out of Florida for a second, was when they put in Transformers, when they redid the Jurassic Park ride and put it into Jurassic World. And now this new Fast and the Furious coaster is going through their pull-throughs right now. So they're going to start testing very soon. Once those pull-throughs are done, we're going to testing. And then we're really going to get a good idea of how fast this thing can go.
Oh, and you have no clue. I can tell you right now, you can stay tuned to Coasters Kickz because I will definitely be there when it comes to opening day, because that is something that I actually hoped that Universal Studios Orlando would actually be doing when they first initially announced that they'd be doing, a Fast and Furious attraction. And then obviously they end up, doing something completely different with it not being a roller coaster. And, it let us down a little bit. And obviously it's got to be like one of the least visited attractions that's actually there.
Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Aside from the queue,
open anymore.
Oh yeah, it's still open. It still accepts guests, but again, guest traffic is low. The queue, beautiful, especially when you get to see the GTR. You get to see the Charger. You get to see the Supra. All dressed up, beautiful, just like in the initial movies. But honestly, when they announced that they were doing a coaster at Universal Studios Hollywood, I was ecstatic. My wife and I, we actually got annual passes. Princeton, Brandy, and I, we all got annual passes. So we'll definitely be visiting again, because that's something that she knows I love Fast and Furious. I love that franchise. I love their movies. Obviously we could have left to, ended the franchise a couple movies ago, but definitely anticipate riding that ride. That's something I'll definitely be on site for.
Never seen a single one of them. We'll have the conversation for another day.
Oh yeah. Well, look, I've got to tie you to a chair to get you to watch them. I'll do that. But
that's a perfect way to go ahead and swirl and segue away from Epic Universe for a second, because one thing I will touch on before we move away to that segue is I have not heard enough people talk about Stardust Racers, and that is one of the best roller coasters in the state of Florida. And it is highly, highly underrated, and it is not getting the hype that it deserves.
Oh, yeah. No,
it is up there with Velocicoaster.
I just know Dueling Dragons is in the air right now, and up in coastal heaven, fighting the air, because this literally, again, videos, hearing it from multiple people and multiple sources, you included, especially how big we both are coaster guys. It's crazy to me how Stardust Racers is exactly what Universal wanted Dueling Dragons to be, up until the point where it just simply couldn't be that. They had to delay it because of things like collisions, unfortunately. Before they actually had everybody putting things in lockers where
I don't think it was collisions. If I remember correctly, it was were throwing pennies at the other train.
At the other riders, right?
Exactly. Yeah. When they were coming through the loops, there was a game where people were trying to throw pennies and quarters at the other riders, and then people on the exit were throwing pennies at the trains as they were coming by. This is why we can't have nice things, essentially. Yep. But I believe that's what it came down to, is it's one of those not so great things that you want to admit, But this is why we had to change our ride. I mean, to play devil's advocate and go ahead and throw somebody else under the bus, that's the reason why Disney had shut down Small World for quite a few weeks years ago, is because the boats kept actually bottoming out and flooding, because as the years went on, the American public was gaining weight and the boats couldn't hold the weight.
Yeah.
One of those ones that you don't really
God.
want to admit, but that's the truth. And getting over to that segue, because I can't speak on Battle for the Ministry as I didn't ride it, one of the biggest mistakes of a roller coaster, I'm going to catch heat for that, Rocket is finally getting torn down.
Honestly,
Rest in pieces.
Rest in pieces. That, for me, I loved Hollywood Red Rocket. I really did.
I hated it.
Oh, look, at one point I felt the same way. Then it grew on me between choosing different songs and I always happen to choose songs. Oh, dude, it's been many years. Don't get me wrong. It's been many years since I've had the opportunity to ride.
The last time I rode that thing, I needed to go to the chiropractor after it beat me up. When it first came out, it was great. It was something unique. It still had that nude coaster, but man, did she age bad.
Oh, yeah. She did. Oh, no, 100% she did. And that's the craziest part about it, you know.
And kudos to Universal for trying something new. They had a bold plan. It had never been done before, except for the Hollywood Dream Ride at Universal Studios Japan.
Right.
And they did it on a big scale. And had they gone with a different manufacturer, it'd probably still be here today. But that ultimately is going to be that ride's downfall, and that ride's lineage is Mauer Sohn had never done anything that big or even on that scale before. The biggest ride they did was about the size of Tigress, but smaller. They had never done anything that big. They had never done any of the elements in there.
That demanding,
It didn't work, unfortunately. But thank God for Universal. They found an amazing partnership with Intamin. And I know Intamin's going to deliver them another massive, massive great ride. Look at what Intamin was able to deliver at Cedar Fair all through the 2000s. When we had back-to-back hits from Millennium Force, Wicked Twister, Top Thrill Dragster, Maverick. And now Universal Orlando's getting the same with Stardust Racers, Hagrid's Motorbike. You also got it with Velocicoaster, and even the, I'm pretty sure that kid coaster over there, Hiccup's Wing Gliders, is an Intamin.
Oh, yeah, Intamin as well. Yes, it is. And matter of fact, funny enough, now that you talk about Intamin as well, I'm not sure if you've already heard, but they actually have an office that's being erected. So I believe they're going to actually have operations specifically in Orlando. So they'll be working really close to Universal and working with them very closely on this next coaster, which I would not doubt that this will probably be another, I wouldn't say retheme. It's not going to be a retheme, but it'll definitely be something like, I wouldn't be surprised if they'd go over the route of doing I don't know. I'm conflicted because of the area it's in, with everything over there being Minions practically at this point, besides, down the street where you got, Jimmy Fallon right there. And then, of course, you got in that area where the park is, they have the bench with the Secret Life of Pets there. To be honest, I'd be surprised if they expanded the park a little bit,
I have
that showroom over there.
Ideas and wishes that I think it could be. And again, this is me. I don't know anyone in the park.
Right.
It's 100% speculation other than the Dippin' Dots guy. I had
What you thinking?
Everybody's complaining about how much they do not like Fast and the Furious.
Exactly where I was going.
Just in a perfect world, why not
exactly
shut
where
down
I'm going.
Fast and the Furious, keep the queue open, start it over there, have it launch straight out of there after doing its pre-show, go over the Mummies building or behind it, whatever you want to do, because if you want to keep that New York integrity, have it go behind it and then make it burst through the window over at Ghostbusters Firehouse and go right through.
Great.
And then to send it back, have it launch through the where Rocket used to be in between these sound stages.
Yep.
What in a perfect world, because the sound stages are not really used, I would like to see it start out over at San Francisco, launch, and then do its thing in between the sound stages, and then go out to City Walk for a little turnaround, and then start coming back.
Yep. And that's I'm glad you said that, because again, that's exactly where I was going. But
I don't know if they're going to do it, but we can wish.
Yeah, we can wish, and that's what I hope they do. And that's why I say I'm honestly conflicted, because where it's situated, again, it's really Minions heavy right now over there in that area. So, I mean, I don't know
not
where
do
they
a
would
big,
put the...
They would never do a big Minions roller coaster, because it would completely negate everything with this. The kids are not old enough.
The kids are not riding that.
Yeah.
Exactly. No, I don't.
To do something on that scale, no, I just don't see it.
No one that's intimate that's in this, I know for a fact. We all already know it's a coaster. We just don't know what it is. Again, the only reason I'm conflicted is, where would you put the entrance to this?
I would just do it in San Francisco. That's just me. You could
just move it down to San Francisco.
If I was in charge of the park and the resort, I would just put it in San Francisco, get rid of the ride that everyone's complaining about it, and say, hey, you've been complaining about this for over 3 or 4 years. Here, stop talking. Just take care of it.
Yeah.
And not only that,
and again, especially with how they know how much attention that the Universal Studios Hollywood is gaining and gathering from having a Fast and Furious coaster being built over there. They already think about it. Every time you go to the Universal Studios, they always have surveyors. They have more surveyors than Disney does. So they constantly pull people aside, asking them to do a survey. You know, depending on where you live, they certain days they're looking for certain criteria and things like that, where you might get a gift card. You know, you might get fast passes for the day. Not fast passes.
Wait, you guys are getting paid
for the day and things like that. Oh yeah, you've never done one of them. You've never done one of them.
No.
Ryan Seacrest here. When you have a busy schedule, it's important to maximize your downtime. One of the best ways to do that is by going to ChumbaCasino.com. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino games like spin slots, bingo, and solitaire that you can play for free for a chance to redeem some serious prizes. So hop on to ChumbaCasino.com now and live the Chumba life. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Clearly, I've never gotten paid.
No. Look, you walk by the NBC. If you walk by the NBC center, the NBC little center over there.
I thought you were talking just the guys that were stopping you when you were going in between lands. Hey, did you just come through San Francisco today?
No. And that's specifically, that's a little different, because I'm talking about, there's typically surveyors that are specifically near where they used to have where they had the Universal Monsters experience, where they did the makeup experience, and obviously what is the name of it?
It's right next to Cafe La Bamba. That thing is barely used.
Exactly, next to Cafe La Bamba, where they actually have surveyors literally sit there, and they sit there all day. They will literally gather, hey, how you doing? You know, figure out where you're from. If you meet a criteria, they'll actually do a quick survey for them, and they give gift cards. They'll give gift cards. Sometimes they give Universal Express passes for the day or for an attraction or two. So it just depends on what they're offering at that time. But yeah, I've seen people get gift cards of $50 that took care of them for a meal for 2 people. You know, so that worked around not just at Universal Studios, but worked at the resort itself, Universal Orlando, period, which is really cool. So
yeah, I've heard of it, but as a former team member, I was never allowed to take part in it.
Oh yeah, no. Trust me. If you lived too close to the park, you weren't able to partake in it. They had strict criteria on who could do it,
especially if you work for the park.
Oh yeah, if you work for the park, that was a no-no.
That's why they weren't asking me.
Disney. That's just as much as up with us with Disney. We're not taking them surveys. Oh, hey, I'm a cast member. Oh, okay, never mind. You're good. Have a great rest of your day. Have a magical day. You know, same way with Disney. Disney's the same thing. If they did try and survey you, they would just ask a few questions. You know, are you employed with the Walt Disney Company? I would always say yes. And they would immediately go, okay, well, all right, well, don't want to take up too much of your time. Of course, I hope you're enjoying the parks. Have a magical rest of your day, you know, and that would be it. So, you know, it's, honestly, it's pretty cool that they do that because again, it's garnering what they can do at the parks, what they should do at the parks, which is probably why we got so much news from Universal in terms of their brand, their parks. Universal Kids Park over in Frisco that they're building, which I can't wait
London.
for, especially to take Princeton to. Universal Studios in UK, which we
Did not
knew
see that one
we
coming.
already.
Did not see that one coming.
I saw the speculation of it for a while. A lot of travelers from the UK that will come to the parks. Anytime you got one thing I love to do, especially when in an attraction, when you're, especially when you're in their queue and it's a long wait, obviously like to make conversation, and being able to talk to a lot of the guests that are actually traveling from the UK in different areas like that. They hear about the rumors before us simply because they live near the land where it's being cleared out, or they actually know for a fact, okay, hey, they've seen that permits have been built up. The same way we get news about, attractions and theme parks here, they get them before us technically because they would hear that, okay, here, there's a permit that was just filed, things like that. So, or there are rumors that a permit is being filed. So yeah, it's definitely something that I kind of anticipated. And once they announced it officially, I was ecstatic for it because I definitely plan on taking a trip there also. But one small gripe I have with that, which is a quick squirrel moment to get off track before we jump back over. Universal Studios, okay, not having anything Harry Potter, criminal. I think it's criminal. It's criminal. I don't understand why they don't. I mean, maybe in the UK there's not as big of a fan base. But
that's where,
I think
kidding me?
I don't think that's true.
Filmed?
I don't think that's true. Exactly. That's where it's like that's literally where it derives from. So I don't understand how that would be the case. But again, I think it's blasphemy that it's not there.
Maybe something with J.K. Rowling, because at the end of the day, as much as people are upset with her right now, she has final say on everything. She has creative control. So, political views aside, whatever she may or may have said and done online, put that aside. She has creative control. Yep. She's not going to sign that baby over. That is still hers at the end of the day. The same thing that Disney went through with Avatar. James Cameron had full creative control.
So. Yep. 100%.
It's kind of the same reason everyone thinks that Avatar is going to expand. I don't think it's going to. It's been there for 7 years.
It will be. They're not expanding it until after the movies. Think about it. So the expansions that they saved room there, if you look at the map and the space that's behind it, there's space for at least another 2 attractions behind there and shops as well. So don't get me wrong. I know, and I full-heartedly believe that they will be expanding. It's just, they would wait until the new movies actually come out.
If I were them, and this is just me, I wouldn't even expand it. I would do exactly what everybody wanted, which was a land properly themed to Moana, other than just a play area.
Really?
That was a walkthrough.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Because the movie is fantastic. Mm-hmm. It fits with that Animal Kingdom vibe, because I really don't think you're going to put a Hawaiian, Polynesian land over in the Magic Kingdom. It's just it would fit in Adventureland, and that's what they were hoping for, was we were going to get something over there. But I don't think we have the room out there.
We do. So I'm so glad you brought this up. And again, this is taking us off track, so forgive me. But hey, this is what we're all about here at Coasters Kickz. Obviously, as you know, Zach. We love the different speculations, the different rumors that we hear, and even the confirmed news too. So as of right now, we're hearing that, and again, I'm hearing tons of things in terms of Adventureland, where after it's all said and done with the Frontierland expansion and everything, the next step of their project is that they're actually going to be expanding Adventureland, where there's going to be a Moana themed attraction that is actually.
Are we getting Fire Mountain finally?
I don't know.
That ride has been on the back burner. It has been greenlit and redlit so many times since 2005.
Yep.
And the technology is finally here.
Yep.
If anybody knows what I'm talking about, Disney allegedly was looking to build a flying roller coaster, but they didn't want you to go into the flying position in the station, I think is what I read, or they wanted you to launch while you were flying. Just the technology wasn't there, and we know that Disney's not going to work with B&M. It's going to be Vekoma.
Yep.
Well, look who perfected it. Vekoma. It is already operating over in not Europa Park, Fantasia Land.
Yep.
And it's a great ride. So it makes you wonder, are we going to sit there and do a Hawaiian roller coaster ride? Oh, I'm not even talking Moana now. I'm talking Stitch.
Pun intended. Pun fully intended.
Here I am sitting there trying to give. But and that's the thing is with that land, you don't just have to do Moana. That brings me back.
Yep.
You could tie Stitch in there, which with the live action movie that just came out. I mean, I haven't seen the results. I can't resist. I can only imagine that the movie's going to do a hell of a lot better than Snow White did on opening weekend.
Oh yeah. And honestly, I can tell you from this again, if we get Fire Mountain, I'd be ecstatic. I would love to ride Fire Mountain because again, that's been talked about for years. Just like the expansions that they talked about doing. I'm not sure if you heard many years ago over at Epcot. They were actually talking about doing a attraction in Japan. Japan.
Yeah, the Fujiyama roller coaster.
Mount Fuji, exactly.
Fuji.
Mount Fuji roller coaster, where it's they actually build the mountain as a facade, and then inside of the mountain, inside of the volcano. Or
I'd rather in that case, I'd rather you knock the wall down and actually give me the Rhine River cruise that we were supposed to have.
Oh yeah.
That would.
I think Epcot could use, but I feel like Epcot could use more coasters. Epcot could use more like fast, I wouldn't say fast, but immersive attractions. Don't get me wrong, I feel like we kind of already have a lot of river adventure-esque attractions at Epcot with again Frozen. Then you also got Living with the Land.
No. Just remember. You are not truly living with the land until you ride Living with the Land.
True.
That, I don't care what anyone says, that is not a boring attraction. That is one of the greatest attractions of all time.
Attractions they got,
because that is a good 35 minutes off your feet in air conditioning and very climate controlled. And that only other attraction that I missed at Epcot, and not because it was good, was Ellen's Energy Adventure. Perfect 45-minute nap.
Space.
Yep. Nobody ever wrote it. Just take a nap in the air conditioning for 45 minutes.
Hello, it is Ryan, and we could all use an extra bright spot in our day, couldn't we? Just to make up for things like sitting in traffic, doing the dishes, counting your steps, all the mundane stuff. That is why I'm such a big fan of Chumba Casino. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere with daily bonuses. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com. That's ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Look, my son, obviously, Princeton. Princeton would have loved that attraction, mainly because of the dinosaurs. I wouldn't have been able to nap. I can tell you that right now. Because Princeton, with anything dinosaurs, Daddy, look, it's a Dilophosaurus. He knows everything. He knows the scientific names of these different dinosaurs and things like that in full. And he told me, at one point, he was like, "Oh, Daddy, look, it's I forgot what." He's like, Baryonyx. I said, "I'm sorry, excuse me? Did you just name the actual name of that dinosaur? I thought you would have said maybe a T-Rex or something, thinking it is a T-Rex. But no, he's so huge into dinosaurs. I know he would have loved the Ellen ride. I know he would have. The Universal Energy, I know he would have. So, but yeah, no, I can honestly say that, over at Adventureland, going back to Adventureland, between the attraction itself of Moana possibly getting, again, rumored to be being built over there, I'm not sure if you've also heard they are supposedly interested in a Adventureland themed DVC resort. As of right now, Disney with all their resorts is real DVC heavy.
They just opened up that brand new Polynesian tower.
They did. And they're not done. They're not done. Think about it. Over at Fort Wilderness,
Copper
literally Creek. Not Copper Creek.
Boulder.
Not Boulder Ridge Resort. There's a new what is it called?
Cabins?
Reflections. Disney Lakeside Lodge.
Oh, I didn't even look at that one.
Bro, it's beautiful. It is beautiful. I got some concept art that I'll show you here, and I'll share it with you guys so you guys are able to actually see it. But honestly, based on, it's supposed to be a 10-story hotel, and based on concept art and even pictures of like attractions of the actual I wouldn't say.
Now, is this an actual resort
of it,
or
DVC resort?
Okay, so you have to be a deeded DVC owner.
No, you don't have to be a DVC owner to actually book. Don't get me wrong, unless Disney decides to do that for
because that's
foreseeable future.
It's the only way you're ever going to get into Bay Lake Tower. You either have to buy into DVC or you have to rent somebody's points.
Yeah. So
Bay Lake Tower is one of those. I mean, it's the same with the DVC resort over at Grand Floridian. I mean, Disney's starting to go very vacation ownership heavy because the money's there, and you've got so many other companies in the industry that are making their money in the industry as well, and Disney's just trying to get a piece of the pie. The only thing that Disney's going to run into issues with, they don't have any DVC resorts overseas, and that's the one that people want, is to be able to stay at Paris.
Yep, stay in a DVC resort in Paris. 100%.
You've got so many DVC resorts over here in Orlando, Lake Buena Vista. You've got your Vero Beach and that one up at Hilton Head Island, and then maybe one or two out there in Anaheim. I didn't think we were going to turn this episode into vacation ownership, but here we are.
Yep.
And the biggest thing with Disney is I knew that they were looking to go ahead because they'd always make comments about wanting to grow DVC, but the way that they have is what I guess is shocking me.
Yep.
Because I thought they were going to spend way more money on the parks, because they've always said the parks are our number one money maker. This is where we put the money and we make the money back. The only person that didn't agree with that was Chapek, but have a happy Merry New Year and a happy Christmas.
Yep. But no, I'm telling you right now, this is what based on concept art, this is exactly what it looks like right here. And in all honesty, it's a beautiful resort. Like I said,
beautiful.
Disney is very DVC heavy at the moment because not only with this attraction, this hotel, but also, again, rumors are that with Adventureland, they're trying to actually build a DVC resort over there that actually includes a entrance directly to the parks, just like
that's gonna make so many people mad on Magic Kingdom.
100%.
Not going through the two tunnels up front.
Yeah. No, I mean, some people, again, you'll still have the ability to obviously enter from the main entrance, but honestly, with the DVC resort there, apparently it's kind of like how they did at Disney's California Adventure Park, right? Where with the Grand Californian, you have that entrance,
yeah, that's right.
The back entrance into the park. That's kind of what is speculated at this point. Obviously, this is just speculation.
Side entrance.
But yep,
we left out the side and went into it just because I wanted to see the way that the resort looked. And don't get me wrong, it was absolutely gorgeous. It was very well themed, and the aesthetics and the architecture were fantastic. Now, I am going to take a hot shot on that one. I do think that hotel, the resort, sorry, it's not a hotel, it's a resort. It's gorgeous, but it is way too modernized to fit with Fort Wilderness. It doesn't have that rustic look.
That's why it's been getting a lot of pushback, honestly.
Oh, great. So I'm not the only one then.
Oh yeah, no, you're definitely not the only one. With frequent guests to Fort Wilderness basically said that's been a problem for them. Think with the cabins. They did the renovations of the cabins and things like that, making it a little bit more modernized, but still having that the beautiful touches and wilderness touches that brought people to love Fort Wilderness. But I guess people still love those carpets that smell like corn chips. Apparently, hey.
Please don't get me started on the on the
but-
changes they did at Grand Floridian. Oh, don't get me started on that.
Yeah, but hey,
I was complaining about that last time.
Yeah, but no, I can tell you right now. I mean, me personally, based on where it's located, because it's supposed to have a huge pool, a lazy river over at that resort at Disney's Lakeshore Lodge, and a part of it, when you're looking at it, it does give off a little bit of a lakeshore, like lakeside resort. It really does, but again, because of where it's placed, it somewhat clashes, and I can see where people are coming from, where it clashes with Fort Wilderness. And yeah, I mean, tons of concept art. Don't get me wrong. Me personally, I'm gonna enjoy it. I mean, there's concept art where they're supposed to have a statue of Pocahontas inside of the actual like dining areas, the main common areas of the hotel, the resort, where after check-in. So, you know, I think it'll be pretty cool, especially considering what it's supposed to be representing. But hey, again, we'll see what happens, because they have announced that the Lakeshore Lodge Hotel will be opening in 2027. So we got some year, we got another a year and a half or maybe even more before this resort is open. And we'll see how the public perceives it when it does actually open. And I'm wishing it nothing but success, because I'd love to experience it.
Now, I got a serious question for you about this.
What's up?
Was this actually announced, or was this
Lakeshore
leaked
Lodge?
Was this actually announced, or was this accidentally leaked in a convention in Mexico or Japan?
Oh no, this was apparently announced.
Oh, so Universal Orlando's the one that got screwed on that announcement then.
Oh yeah, which again brings us to our next point. Even after the different parks, we'll definitely get into that a little bit later in the episode. But going back to Epic, because again we kind of did get squirreled off a little bit there. Again, turning it kind of into a resorts talk episode. But of course, we've already talked about Celestial Park. We've already talked about Super Nintendo World, How to Train Your Dragon, and Dark Universe, as well as Wizarding World, the Wizarding World over there. So in terms of those 5 lands that they have, where are we ranking? Where are you ranking them? Give me your rank.
I don't even want to do it. The reason being I don't feel comfortable ranking is I didn't get to experience anything over in the Harry Potter land.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't do the shows. I didn't do the attractions. But if we're going off what I did, I'm automatically, just because as a fan of Halloween Horror Nights, as a former scare actor, I'm going to have to go with Dark Universe, because it's just,
yep.
I love the Universal Classic Monsters. I love the fact that the Phantom of the Opera was actually in the ride, the Creature of the Black Lagoon. The Wolfman is one of my all-time favorite monsters.
Yep.
And they did my guy right. He looked fantastic.
Yeah. I've seen some POVs, and I can honestly agree. Looks amazing.
I just don't like speaking on things that I didn't get to experience, because then I'm not giving a true opinion. I'm just giving off, this is what I saw on the internet. But
no, I respect
Dark Universe is, I think it feels more in-depth, because Universal was able to go ahead and do whatever they wanted, because they had creative control. And the same thing with
Ryan Seacrest here. When you have a busy schedule, it's important to maximize your downtime. One of the best ways to do that is by going to ChumbaCasino.com. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino games like spin slots, bingo, and solitaire that you can play for free for a chance to redeem some serious prizes. So hop on to ChumbaCasino.com now and live the Chumba life. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Ooh, this is going to be a hot take. The same thing with...
oh, boy.
The same thing happened over in the Isle of Birth. You could tell that Universal had creative control, whereas over in Harry Potter and Nintendo, don't get me wrong, the lands are pretty, but it just has that feeling like, Universal may have designed it, but this isn't really fully Universal. And it's not that it's a bad thing. I mean, it's very evident and I'm gonna go to Halloween Horror Nights to prove my point here.
Okay.
You can tell the difference if you're a Horror Nights fan between an intellectual property house and a house like Scary Terrors, Body Collectors, the Scarecrow house they had, the one that they did. What was it? 2 or 3 years ago, they had that house that came out of the idea of a scare zone they used in the 2010 era, and now they turned it into a full-scale house. It was a bunch of fishermen that washed ashore. They were dead. Oh, I wish I could remember the name of the house.
Mm-hmm. All right.
It was in 2022 that they did it, but when you walked in the thing, it literally felt like you were walking it honestly felt like you were walking in Jaws. It was a boathouse at a marina, all kinds of old boats and fishermen. But that's what I'm trying to say is with Universal Orlando, they're good at what they do on everything. But when they get to go in as Universal Creative and say, hey, just do whatever you want, you don't have to sit there and talk to this person that owns this property, you could tell the difference. Whereas when they're following the storyline, look at Stranger Things, for example. They were great houses, don't get me wrong. I mean, everybody loves the show, but how creative can you really get? Because at the end of the day, you can't just sit out there and start telling them the haunted house the way that you want to. You have to follow the script of the TV show in the order that they want it.
Exactly. Yeah.
But when Universal's allowed to run free, in the case of Monsters Unchained, watch out.
They do phenomenal.
They've got some amazing minds up there in those offices, and they prove it every single year in Halloween Horror Nights. And that's why, to this day, Halloween Horror Nights 18 is my favorite in 2008, because all but one house were original houses.
Yeah, and I can honestly agree. When you allow them creative freedom to do what they do best, is when it always turns out.
Yes, and Universal has some real beautiful minds.
Yep,
that between
their own creative because you got more than half of them coming from also being Disney Imagineers. You got some Disney Imagineers that decided to jump ship because Universal was actually offering pay raises and hikes and things like that, especially considering they knew they were going to be gearing up for Epic Universe to actually be released in these different lands. So Universal Creative actually did an amazing job with poaching and just the right time.
Oh, they've all been there for over 10 years. If I can remember correctly, majority of the Imagineers jumped ship back before 2015. Because they were upset with the direction that Disney was going. I guess they weren't really adding rides. They weren't really doing anything after the Fantasyland expansion. All of them jumped ship, went over to Universal Orlando, and you could see, because look what we had pumped out. Within a short time span, we had King Kong. They were able to go ahead and pump out the Jimmy Fallon attraction. They were able to pump out Fast and the Furious.
Yep.
There's a lot of stuff they did, whether you love it or hate it. That was one of the biggest growths in Universal Orlando history in a short amount of time.
Yeah, which again, you almost made me a little bit upset because I still feel strongly about Kong. Because don't get me wrong, I love Kong. I do.
Hey, it goes back outside again. That's all that matters. It goes outside again. They fixed it.
It does go outside again? Okay, good.
It just started doing that on this last one.
Okay, yeah, I remember the walls were up not too long ago because people were speculating that they were doing some work out there. So good, I'm glad that it's here, that it's back outside. But again, even then, like that queue when they first opened and they had scare actors inside of it, boy, that was by far my favorite part of that entire attraction. Going outside was awesome, and then once you got inside, it was a little dull for me. Once you got past the first initial screen where you see the remnants of a skull of a creature that resembles Kong, and then obviously you got to the rest of the screens throughout the ride, it just was like okay. It just felt like, again, a newer updated version of what they already had at the Universal Backlot Tour over at Universal Studios Hollywood.
Which that one done on such a high level scale. Great.
To me,
the only thing I didn't get to do on it I didn't get to go see the courtyard from Back to the Future because they were filming a commercial out there. I mean, whatever, I can always go back, but it's a great ride. But I remember getting off that thing and saying, okay, I rode Fast and Furious. I don't need to ride it in Orlando now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, it's, again, copy paste. Like, I'm taking I'm honestly going to take Kong over at Universal Studios Hollywood before I take Kong over at Universal Studios at Alice of Adventure. I really will. And again, only because of how well it was done initially. The entire attraction being screens, we kind of saw that coming, but you used a huge part of what was to be used for a Jurassic Park expansion to build a Kong attraction that kind of doesn't fit there. But not only that, you also took away the classic Jurassic Park arch that was there. You know, and for me being a huge Jurassic Park fan, I feel like it shouldn't be there. I hope that eventually they decide to get rid of it, but I know for a fact that it'll probably be years, because that animatronic at the end of the attraction is amazing. It's so beautifully done.
And speaking of things that shouldn't be there, the ultimate hot take: rid of Marvel Superhero Island.
Oh my God, yeah. Yep.
I have been wanting this thing to go away for 16 years, and it breaks my heart to say it because I love Marvel movies, TV,
Absolutely.
Video games. They're not that good, but the comic books.
Whoa. Some of them. I can say some of them. Not all of them. Some of them were great.
I haven't played Spider-Man. I've only played the ones on Xbox, and I think we could all agree that Avengers was a massive letdown.
Oh boy, let's not even talk about that. Square Enix dropped the ball on that one.
It just, as much as Universal wants to keep that intellectual property, I don't understand it, because Disney, you have to go through Disney on everything now. Because
it's the biggest FU. You know what it is? It's the biggest FU to Disney. That's exactly what it is. And the issue to me, because again, the rides, the Hulk, I love the storyline of it. I love what they did with the queue. I love what they did with the music being in the seats as you're riding the ride. It really does give, despite there not really being so much theming outside of the attraction itself, it definitely adds a aspect of theming that is not there to the attraction, putting you in the ride as if you're actually, jumping around as a Hulkling, so I love that. I love Spider-Man, obviously.
But it didn't even go that route. It was the military trying to turn you into Hulks, which still, I mean, it's a great theme, but my issue with it is you can't do anything without Disney signing off on it.
Yeah.
And Disney's not good. Well, and
They're
think the contract, if somebody told me correctly, or I read online, everything that they do, they have to keep it modernized, but they can't add any other characters. Whatever they've got, they're stuck with. And it's pretty much
they can't keep it out. They can't even keep it modernized. The contract states that they cannot modernize, like, as far as they can they have to upkeep it. They have to upkeep it. They can't go beyond. For example, they can't overhaul the entire that entire land and make it more of a modernized comics view. It has to they have to maintain what it looks like now.
And here's what I would be okay with them replacing it with. There's rumors that, I want to say over 5 or 10 years ago, I want to say this rumor popped in 2016.
This is the same one we talked about? This is the same one we talked about before?
There's rumors that they have Lord of the Rings, the intellectual property rights to it.
Really?
There was rumors 10 years ago, shout out Screamscape, that they had the contract or were interested or something along those lines, and they were trying to do something with Lord of the Rings. Now, I don't think it ever materialized. I mean, clearly it didn't. But it would have been interesting to see what would have happened had we gotten Lord of the Rings in there, because you could easily theme Hulk. You could easily re-theme Spider-Man. And that's really, if it's Storm Force Acceleron, it's probably the easiest to re-theme.
It sucks to even think about that, especially considering that's practically one of Stan Lee's last cameos.
Yeah, and the funniest thing is, like, there's so many things that you could easily go ahead and retheme in there, but we never did anything with it. And the reason I'm okay with it leaving is I want to see what Disney can actually do.
Oh boy, don't even get me started.
After Avengers Campus?
Absolutely. After Avengers Campus, I don't think they would do Avengers Campus if they were to get the rights some way, somehow. Because again, technically this contract is not something that just can't be broken. It's just that, again, Universal has the rights of it as long as they actually do abide by those terms of the contract. Or unless one of them decide to pull out from the contract, which they can do that. Now, if Disney does it, they have to at least present why they are looking to pull out of the contract. Well, Marvel, in this case, Marvel Disney, because Disney owns Marvel at this point. But they would have to present why. Okay, years. Universal is not upkeeping it. It doesn't look good. It looks degraded. You know, the pictures that are up on all the canvases that they actually have out there are faded terribly. They haven't upkept them. They haven't done anything in terms of the character costumes that they actually have out there. They look terrible. And you know, we're looking to pull out. That's the only way that Disney be able to do it. Now Universal, they can do it if they so please. But again, I highly doubt they do that unless they have a property that they are willing and going to be putting in there. Like we just talked about, Lord of the Rings, right? I don't know how likely that would be, but with Islands of Adventure getting the short end of the stick kind of when it comes to updates and things like that, aside from what they've done with Harry Potter and besides what they did with Jurassic Park with the Velocicoaster.
Oh, so we're not going to say anything about the Lost Continent?
Oh, we're gonna talk about the Lost Continent. Don't get me wrong, but that's why I said besides those two properties,
because that is a lot of real estate that is just
what do we got? What did we get? We got a She-Ra meet and greet. Whoop-de-doo. Give me something over there. Get rid of the land. Do something. Because again, they used what was over there? Sinbad, the show. They're literally just using it for storage space and for a seating area on hot days.
They don't even. I don't think the only thing I think that they used Sinbad for, at least I remember, was overflow queue for Hagrid. And then keep in mind that what is that?
They don't even need it anymore, and they don't even need it.
What was that show? What was that show right next to it? Oh my gosh, it's been closed so long now that I forgot the name of it. With
the show
Poseidon's Fury.
Oh, and that shuttered its doors too. That's been shuttered for how many years at this point?
Over
3 years?
2 or 3 years?
Yeah. So yeah, no, they've got to do something with that land. Don't get me wrong. Mythos is a lovely restaurant. By far one of my favorite restaurants.
Oh, that could easily get rethemed.
But that could be rethemed. Keep the menu, just retheme it, right? They've got to do something with the Lost Continent. They have to. Whether that be, I know at one point years ago, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, it was rumored that Zelda could go there, which we talked about this before, off podcast. But Zelda was a potential to be over there. I wouldn't doubt it. But at the same time, with Epic Universe, which brings us back to the other part, their new baby, which again, I don't suspect them doing any expansions anytime soon. Anytime soon with Epic, despite them actually needing it. But again, another episode. That's another story for another episode. But yeah, Zelda, I can see them putting it over there.
With how many tickets they're going to sell for the first year and a half to 2 years? I just don't even see an expansion coming over there. Not for nothing. The biggest thing that they need to worry about right now is they need to go back in there and they need to focus on.
Hello, it is Ryan, and we could all use an extra bright spot in our day, couldn't we? Just to make up for things like sitting in traffic, doing the dishes, counting your steps, all the mundane stuff. That is why I'm such a big fan of Chumba Casino. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere with daily bonuses. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com. That's ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Islands of Adventure and Universal Studios. Not that they haven't been. I mean, they've spent a lot of money.
Most importantly.
But the other thing that I would like to see them do, and this is just me nitpicking, is I would like to see them go back in and continue expanding over at Volcano Bay.
Yes.
And the reason
Honestly,
I say that about Volcano Bay is because if you remember, there's a lot of land and expansion pads over there. But Volcano Bay actually kind of did something dangerous. They lit a fire under SeaWorld, and SeaWorld has been expanding Aquatica like crazy.
Oh yeah, and because think about it, when they initially shut down Wet and Wild, people were ecstatic, and Aquatica again, with that practically being the only other theme park that was out there, water park out there aside from Disney's Typhoon Lagoon and Winter Summerland. Like besides those two things.
You did not just call it Winter Summerland.
I said Winter Summerland. I'm thinking about
this man just called the water park a mini golf course.
You know what I was talking about. You know what I meant.
Yeah, but I'm going to call you out on that 9 out of 10 times.
100%. Hey, look, you wouldn't be my best friend if you didn't. You wouldn't be my best friend if you did. You would not be one of my best friends if you did not. So, especially considering we were both cast members.
Well, and the funniest thing is
sell resorts and park tickets, and so
here's the funny thing too. Going back to Aquatica,
right?
They're about to have a brand new neighbor.
Really?
There's a story that just came out today. Shout out Brody Brazil on YouTube. Brody went ahead and posted a video on his YouTube talking about there is a rumor going around that the Chicago White Sox might try to relocate to Orlando and work with that Orlando Dreamers team or try to get bought by them.
Oh my God, seriously?
I had been thinking this was going to be the Rays because the Rays have nowhere to play. And on top of that, if you are following the stadium, for those sports fans, if you're following the drama, they had the funds secured to start building a much needed new stadium. The hurricane hit.
Right.
The city reneged on those plans, and then the city doesn't want to pay for the Tropicana. The Rays are trying to strong arm them and say you either pay for it or else. It's getting ugly. A lot of people thought maybe they would just go to Orlando, play over at Disney Wide World of Sports, and try while that arena's being built. The Rays are being very stubborn and not saying anything, kind of like the Oakland Athletics. But now there's rumors, and I haven't read too far into it, but there's rumors the White Sox might leave Southern Chicago and come down here.
That'd actually be a crazy move, but great for the Orlando community, because I know the amount of baseball fans that are in Orlando that have been begging for a team. I think that'd be a welcome addition.
I hope it's not the White Sox, and here's why. The White Sox are perfect in the aspect that the fans don't care anymore, and it's not the fans' fault. Right. It's the product on the field is absolutely atrocious. So I can understand if you're a fan, why are you going to pump money into this dumpster fire of a team? Because they set a record last year for losses. The reason I do not want them coming down here as a baseball fan, it is going to screw up the division so bad, and they're going to have to realign everything.
Yep. The realignment is going to be something that I don't know if the MLB is ready for. But
especially because they're an American Central, they're in there with Cleveland, Detroit, Minneapolis, Minnesota, as as who else is in the Central? I know I'm missing one. It's the White Sox, the Tigers, the Guardians, the Twins. I don't think it's the Brewers. Maybe it is the Brewers. No, the Brewers in the NL. Oh, the Kansas City Royals. Wow.
Royals, yeah.
That completely being in the Midwest, that's going to screw everything up when you already have a strong AL. And that's what's going to make it even worse is you already have the Rays in the AL East. You have the Yanks. You've also got the Baltimore Orioles are in there. The Red Sox. And am I missing one? You're a Rays fan. You should know who's in that division. The Blue Jays. That's right. The Blue Jays. So it's just from a divisional standpoint, it's going to screw things up so bad. Yeah. You would have to literally try to. The only way to make this work is you're going to have to put them in the East and maybe try to move an AL team to the NL So the White Sox are now in the National League. Oh, just the logistics of it are so much because you've already got the Marlins, you've got the Braves.
Yeah,
there's just too much
we'll have
involved.
to see what they do, though, because again, especially with the move to Orlando and being the Orlando Dreamers, again, especially with next near SeaWorld, that'd be huge because again, that's even more foot traffic.
I don't like the spot personally, and the reason I do not like where that is being, they're trying to shoehorn it between Aquatica and the 528. The traffic there is going to be
terrible. It's already terrible. Yeah, it's already terrible. But again, one thing is, I think if that were to happen, it'd be many years before that happened because again, they got to build a stadium.
I would say at least
They'd
3 to 4 years.
Traffic in that area too. But to be honest, with that, hopefully, if that does happen, that lights a fire up under SeaWorld. Because if you remember, SeaWorld actually had there were rumors, there were permits filed where SeaWorld was actually going to be building a hotel that was going to be themed.
Those are done. Those are
scrapped. But especially after their first quarter earnings were in the red. This past quarter, it was in the red. But if something like that were to happen, that could actually have a positive impact on their park.
Because I think the reason they scrapped that is that was something with the former CEO. He was trying to go more family oriented. He wanted a big resort at all the parks.
Yep.
Once he got ousted, quit, resigned, whatever it was, and the interim CEO, Scott Ross, if he's still interim or is the CEO, I haven't looked at the board over there. But that's what they're trying to invest in SeaWorld more with roller coasters, which it's working. But my biggest complaint about SeaWorld is the fact that you do not have anything to do there when it is raining outside. You have a good amount of spots to hide, unlike Epic Universe. Yeah, I'm going to segue back to Epic Universe. If anyone's asking about one complaint, that is my one big complaint. There is not enough areas to hide when it is going to have those Florida, the dog days of July and August when it is raining every day, or like this week.
Right.
What are you going to do? You're going to hide in a portal or you're going to hide in a gift shop. That's it.
Yep.
There's just not enough spots to hide. SeaWorld, Busch Gardens is probably the worst in the state of Florida for that. There's only, you've lived it and worked at Busch, so you understand what I'm talking about.
Yep.
But with SeaWorld, there's places to hide, but there ain't nothing to do. But now they fixed it, Expedition Odyssey. Now, I have one question. I don't know if you're going to be able to answer this because you haven't been to it yet. You just took another space away for Hollow Scream. Where do you put another house now? That's my biggest gripe about it.
That's a question that they'll have to answer, because again, as you've had the opportunity to be at that park during their scare events, right? So
in some form of capacity. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. That's why I'm not going to answer it.
Exactly, and that's why I'm not throwing it to you, because I know. but realistically speaking, for me, considering obviously that entire area is back open, you got an attraction back in there.
I was so mad because I almost wrote it today. Transitions
were terrible. The transitions on the ride are terrible. The queue was mid. It's just nothing but
I've seen pictures. I almost did. So here's what happened. They did a promotion today for pass holders. It rained like crazy, and all of us stood outside for an hour to an hour and a half in the rain.
Right.
Nobody moved us inside or even had us under an awning. We're literally getting soaked. And I went out there to get the stuffed animal because my daughter wanted it. Said, all right, I'll go get it. So right when I get the stuffed animal and I'm walking out, I'm like, I got a quick queue. I could ride this thing right now. And then I'm like, you know what? I am soaked head to toe. My shoes are soaked. I want to go get some dry clothes. I do not want to go in freezing cold air conditioning. And then when I step off that, anyone that has been into the animal section of the old Wild Arctic knows how freezing cold the air conditioning in there is. And I didn't have a jacket or anything. So I'm just thinking, I'm in
immediate sickness. Sickness. You wake up the next morning coughing and sneezing. Boy, because it's freezing in there.
And that was the number one complaint that they used to have when the Penguin ride was still there. is people didn't realize how cold it was in there. They would ride Journey to Atlantis, get soaked, and then go step inside there. And if you remember Antarctica, it didn't really tell you it was cold right off the bat unless you were paying attention to the signs. Because the way the ride was designed, it got colder the further in the queue you went. And the reason they did that was they had special fans and temperature that were designed to get the sweat off your body with the humidity outside. So that way the humidity was cleared out, and then it would cool you off gradually so you would stop sweating. And then by the time you got off the ride, you're slowly getting closer to whatever temperature they have in there. I don't know what it is. But the other reason they did that, and a lot of people don't know this, they had the temperature gauges to get your body to get down to it. So that way you didn't accidentally get all the penguins sick.
Oh, yeah.
That was one of the biggest reasons why SeaWorld worked so hard and spent so much money, they said in the press release for that, was they wanted to protect the animals, rightfully so, and to make sure that when you're walking into their environment, you're not coming in there sweaty or sick or something like that and getting all them sick.
Exactly. Yeah. And honestly, that's one thing I can respect about the now called United Parks and Resorts that I really respect. That they did not forget that they are also accredited, and did not forget that their park is not just a theme park, it's an amusement park. It is also again surrounded and themed by and with their animal ambassadors that they actually have at the parks, making sure that they're providing different tips, providing a safe environment for not only guests but also for the animals that they actually caretake for. So I largely respect them for that. And yeah, hopefully United Parks and Resorts, again, they can bounce back, because again, a lot of the things that they actually anticipated doing with the parks, because I remember not Universal, but SeaWorld Orlando, there was supposed to be this huge park overhaul. And Scott Ross, as you mentioned, he's still the chairman of the board. He's not interim any longer, based on my knowledge, at least. But yeah, hopefully something like that can take place, because again, if they're taking a loss in the first quarter, if they get a chance to bounce back, I think they need to actually hit a home run somewhere.
Well, one thing I'll say about them is come into the seasons, this is where things were going to ramp up for them, because as a pass holder, they're always doing something during the summer with the concert series, the barbecue series that, back in the day was Bands Brew and Barbecue during the Anheuser-Busch days. And then you're doing the Seven Seas Food Festival, which we all know food festivals do great because Disney has absolutely killed it for so many years. But Howl-O-Scream in Orlando, touching base on that, really has gotten to completely take that second alternative and show that, okay, Horror Nights is extremely busy. Maybe I don't have the money to afford a ticket. I can easily afford a ticket over here. And then when you get in there, biased aside, you know that you're going to get the same experience at Horror Nights in the aspect that you're going to get shows, you're going to get alcohol, you're going to get merchandise, scare zones, and haunted houses. But one thing that, food too. Yeah. They got food carts all over that thing with unique burgers and whatnot. But the other thing that SeaWorld has done, and I wouldn't say SeaWorld's done it, the characters have just done it on their own. Mm-hmm. The employees have literally taken characters that they were assigned by SeaWorld, created it on their own, and just ran with it, and even tell the guests their names. I remember in 22.
Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
One of the funniest names I've ever heard, but it ran with it and everybody loved it, was Pirate Polly. It was an actual pirate's name, in that house when they had Captain's Revenge. And then there's another one that walks around the scare zones, and his name is Boozy Bob, and he's a drunken pirate. And literally walks around with a limp and a cup, acts like he's drunk, and will sit there and make jokes. I have no more rum. Where's all the rum? What did you do with it? That's what's so fun with it. That is starting to, and I've noticed that the influencers are really picking up on it, is they're going around filming interactions with these characters, and they're just taking a life of their own, because that's, it's not a jab at Universal, but you're not going to get that same experience, because Freddy Krueger cannot sit there and say what he really wants to say. He has to follow the lines that Robert Englund said.
Absolutely.
And that's why I'm very happy that we have this, the creative freedom, because I'm happy that we have this alternative, because you get these new characters, and then you also get to work with these evil scientists that dissect mermaids in delirium.
It kind of sends chills down your spine a little bit. And
that guy.
Honest, that's what I love. That's what I love about the different horror events that are around the parks.
I've been going to horror events since 2005, and that scientist guy that was dissecting that mermaid is by far the most terrifying I've ever seen in person. I'd like to meet the guy that was behind that makeup.
Oh yeah, and that's the one thing I love about the casting that the different parks do. United Parks, Universal does, and again,
hey, don't forget about your home park.
United Parks. I'd say United Parks because as a whole,
Busch beautiful house with straight home estate.
Oh yeah, and that's why I say United Parks as a whole. Not just singling out SeaWorld.
And if you look at the videos that I sent you, Busch Gardens Williamsburg did a great job. SeaWorld San Antonio looked incredible.
Amazing. And the thing is, keep them coming, because you know me. Honestly, seeing the different experiences and the different things that the parks actually have to offer is something I'm huge on. So anytime I get a chance to talk about it, share my experiences that I've had, share experiences that you've had, and other guests that I actually get a chance to bring on the podcast, it's huge for me, because again, maybe some people haven't experienced them. Maybe they're looking forward to it. Maybe they want to get more information on it before they get a chance to go. Because again, especially with Halloween being so close, I wouldn't say Halloween being so close, but the spooky season in general being so close, definitely looking forward to it. Again, I headed back over to Universal. Again, Halloween Horror Nights. With them, they're ramping up this announcement season right now, and we just saw where Five Nights at Freddy's was announced. And based on insider information that we have here at Coasters and Kickz, that wasn't supposed to be the first house that they were announcing. Due to the leak Bloomfield had a panel in Mexico. There was a leak that actually happened. It forced their hand to actually announce that this was a house that was coming to Universal Studios Orlando, Universal Orlando Resort, for one of the houses. But again, that was not one of the first houses that they were planning on announcing. So again, I speculated that this was going to be something that would be coming to the park, just like many others, for the Halloween Horror Nights event in Universal Orlando. But again, we're ramping up. We're seeing tons of different things where they're showing TV screens with white static.
If I remember, I saw something about Megan making a comeback.
I saw that. Between Megan is supposed to be coming too. Yes.
The movie was not bad. The
movie wasn't bad. I liked the movie.
It had its moments. It had its down moments, just like any other movie. But I didn't get to see I just haven't had time to go to Horror Nights in the last couple of years.
The original house that they had.
I missed the Dueling Dragons house, but. The traveling Megan hordes, I mean, they would go out there and do the dance like she did in the movie, and then it was literally just them scaring people and taking pictures. And as much as everybody thinks, Universal is just supposed to be scary, that's one thing that I do like about Universal. Depending on what character they get out there, they do the same as SeaWorld. It's the only spot where you can go out in the streets and take a picture with Freddy. but I think they had to stop that year, if I remember correctly. It got to the point where people were mobbing Freddie and Jason
to take pictures. 100%.
And Chucky especially. And the girl. That was it. 2015, Halloween Horror Nights 25. It got so out of control that the characters were literally almost tripping over people, unfortunately, trying to get through the streets. Because
I remember that.
They did that All Night Die-In or Sears or whatever it was, where it was all those movie characters right out of the screen. And, well, I mean, when you have Freddy Krueger walking around the street, you're asking
for people to mock him. You really are, because again, with the horror franchises that Universal actually does, again, have at the parks during Halloween Horror Nights, and knowing the horror genre in general, Freddy, Jason, Michael Myers, again, that you're asking for people to swamp them and actually.
Oh, I could do a whole, in all my years going to Horror Nights, I could do a whole nother episode with you just ranking houses 1 through whatever of how good they were.
Oh yeah, we'll definitely have to do that, especially considering, again, it's June. Well, we got 2 more months before they officially begin to start doing.
They're already hiring, right? They're hiring right now. Universal's already doing auditions, and SeaWorld starts their auditions on Friday, because I know somebody that may or may not be there on Friday.
Yeah. No, look, I'm telling you, again, we got about 2 months. I would say
auditions start now. Orientation will begin in a couple of weeks. Rehearsals are in August. We're ready to go. End of August for Universal. First or second week of September, we kick it into full gear over at SeaWorld, and then the week after is Busch Gardens. Usually the second week of September, and then it's go time here in the state of Florida.
Yeah,
and
100%.
One thing I want to give credit to SeaWorld for, when that hurricane hit Tampa last year, Busch Gardens Tampa, as we know, was closed.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people don't realize this unless they live in the state of Florida. Anybody that had tickets to Hollow Scream, their tickets were still available to go to Tampa.
And valid.
But SeaWorld gave them the ability to just come use the night for free over that they already purchased.
Yep.
Over at Hollow Scream Orlando. And I thought that was the coolest thing, to be able to put a smile back on these people's faces. Some of them lost everything. Some of them just were out of work or flooding, whatever the case may be that they were going for. Take that shitty situation and turn it into some more fun.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
and I remember seeing the park. The park was absolutely slammed. So they did come, but it was really cool to see SeaWorld just turn around and say, okay, you know what? We're going to take care of our Tampa patrons. Come on up to Orlando. Your park's closed. Come on up here. Let's get your mind off all this stuff that had just happened.
Yep, absolutely. Especially considering, again, it wasn't that far. I remember, Fowler was completely slammed with water, flooded to the point where you couldn't drive down it. So, which is, again, it's not that far at all from where, Busch Gardens Tampa is actually situated.
I didn't get to see pictures of Busch Gardens Tampa from the hurricane damage. The only thing that I can imagine, because we've seen the pictures years ago, make the rounds, it was the infamous photos of the tunnels being flooded at Cheetah Hunt.
Oh yeah,
you know damn good and well, with those things being below sea level or however low they are, they were probably flooded again.
Flooded for sure. Yep, I have no doubt about that, especially with the amount of rain that we got during that time.
Oh yeah, I mean, I wish I could have seen.
Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
You know, the damage that was there, just because it would have been really cool to see. Okay, so this is what it looks like. Oh, wow, man. Busch Gardens did a great job cleaning that park up. But unfortunately, we're not privy to that information.
Yeah.
It would have been really cool to see that recovery team get into work, though.
100%, especially considering, when during my stint at Disney, my first stint in Disney back in 2017, I remember at one point when there was a hurricane coming by, I did volunteer, had the opportunity to actually go up to Orlando, especially considering I worked out at the Tampa office with the reservation center, and go up there and actually, help take care of guests during the hurricane time. Just simply being around the resort, making sure that everyone was okay, making sure that people had games to play during the lobby since they weren't able to go out to the parks and things like that. So it's great when the different parks, the different resorts, the different companies like United Parks, Universal Orlando, and Walt Disney World come together and do things like that for their guests and their patrons that actually come visit, because it really shows the human side of the businesses truly. So, but yeah, this has been a very this episode has actually been, I think this is probably our longest episode we've actually done to date.
I think it is.
But of course, before we wrap up, I wanted to go ahead and ask, because obviously, what is Epic Universe? What does the Epic Universe actually mean for the Orlando theme park race? What do you think it means for the Orlando theme park race? What are you seeing?
It's going to get a hell of a lot more expensive.
Oh yeah. Now, I would say for Universal Orlando per se, maybe in terms of like
for the theme park race, as much it's hard to say that those two compete, because they always deny that they're even competing, that they're just competing with themselves. And
right,
I'm
they
just
don't like to admit that they're competing together. They know this. Think about it again. Just like going back to Marvel, with Marvel being there is a big FU to Disney. Period. It's the reason they did it, right? This was well before. When was this? Before they actually built. What year was California Adventure built? What year? Did
that was
California
99. That was
Adventure?
the same year that
99, right?
Yeah,
exactly. So, but again, when they got into that contractual agreement for Marvel Superhero Island, what year was that? That was before the park opened, right? If I recall correctly. Probably what, 97? Or was it 98? I believe. One of those years. Needless to say, they did this before they were announcing that they were going to do anything at Disneyland in California. So again, this is a huge FU to Disney World, because they do for a fact that, again, nothing can be built east of the Mississippi. So now, touching on the contract, because the Simpsons, their contract is actually ending. Their contract ends.
Simpsons?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
the rights for the
spent
Simpsons.
All that money on that.
Yeah.
Oh, that land and everything over there.
Oh yeah. No. That contract, the Simpsons contract at Universal, it expires in 2028.
That's going to be something to keep an eye on then, to see what they end up doing with it.
Exactly, because again, that means they have to either go into negotiations with Disney regarding what they're going to do with that area, with potentially extending it, because the agreement was made with 21st Century Fox, which is now, obviously we know it's acquired by Disney now, right?
Correct.
So at this point, Disney has been surveying guests, if you haven't already heard, and if you don't know, now you know. Disney has been surveying their fans and guests that have been coming to Walt Disney World about their interest in a Simpsons themed experience in their parks, whether that be a land, like meet and greets, things like that. So that kind of suggests that Disney may be planning for the future if Universal's contract is not renewed. Now, for me, again, I don't see
I just don't see
The
Disney
Simpsons
doing
for
anything
me-
with Simpsons. It's just with the crude jokes, and I'm not saying they're crude as in like. It's hard to even say crude, because I mean the Simpsons is a heck of a lot more family friendly than Family Guy is.
Yeah. But again, I think if Disney does anything, we're not getting anything beyond character meet and greets. And if there are character meet and greets it'd be like some of those characters, Disney characters that we know and love, but we only see during special events around certain times. Those forgotten list of characters, unfortunately, is how I see it, if that does happen. Now, obviously, again, the contract itself can still technically be renewed. Disney and Universal can go into, talking about, what they could do for the land, right? Realistically speaking, between Marvel and between Simpsons, who pulls the most funds at their park? Not Marvel in general between Simpsons, but the actual park. Who do you think pulls the most money between the Simpsons with all their attractions, the food that they have, the beer, that land, and the different food experiences they have there? Who do you think pulls the most money between the two? Because again, that's a huge property that Universal has over at Universal Hollywood and Universal Orlando. So realistically speaking, with the contract ending in 2028, some sources are suggesting that it could end sooner if Universal were to announce that they were making any changes to that area, and they give the rights back to Disney at that point, right? But again, going back to Nintendo, Universal working with Nintendo so closely, they could bring the Pokemon to the parks, which is, if not as large as Super Mario, Donkey Kong, right? It's got practically as big as a fan base. So, me personally, I do believe, and I could see them not renewing the contract and then bringing Pokemon to the parks. But on another coin, I could also see them actually working with Disney, and maybe there being an agreement. Hey, we'll let you keep The Simpsons long term if we can get Marvel back. At least is what I would hope. But all right, this episode, of course, Coasters and Kickz, we really do appreciate you guys for staying tuned, listening in, and talking with us here. Of course, next episode, next week, we're actually going to be diving into a little bit about what could be next for Islands of Adventure, diving a little bit deeper into different rumors and things we're seeing like that, different updates, and including what they're actually doing with Universal Parks over in Frisco, Texas. But of course, feel free, follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, and even now YouTube. New episodes we do intend to actually have dropping every Thursday. Once again, greatly appreciative of you guys staying tuned. And if you have listened up until this point, feel free to leave a like, a follow, and share this with your friends. Once again, thank you so much for listening to Coasters and Kickz, and you guys have a wonderful rest of your night.
Ryan Seacrest here. When you have a busy schedule, it's important to maximize your downtime. One of the best ways to do that is by going to ChumbaCasino.com. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino games like spin slots, bingo, and solitaire that you can play for free for a chance to redeem some serious prizes. So hop on to ChumbaCasino.com now and live the Chumba life. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.